morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, September the 21st, 2021, and we are going to read this article from the Christian Post. The title is Taliban are carrying out mass executions, says Christian missionary helping Afghans. Now, one thing that a lot of people don't understand is that this is very common in these regions of the world, which a lot of people don't talk about. In a lot of Muslim controlled countries or nations, Christians have always been persecuted, executed. Um, Depending on what country, there's always been a form of Christian persecution. As a matter of fact, us in America, which probably make up about 4% of the world's population, the way that Christianity is viewed here is not the way that is viewed in other countries, right? So when you look at a country like China, which is over a billion people by itself, and India as well, India has over a billion people, and I think the continent of Africa itself has over a billion people. If you just look at those three regions of the world, Christian persecution is heavy. Us here in America, we can't even imagine some of the things that some of our Christian brothers and sisters go through on a daily basis just for being Christian. Not for, putting up mean tweets or making, YouTube videos that may be a little raw and edgy towards Muslim. No, just for having a Bible can mean the end of your life. And I kind of want to preface that before I go into this article so you guys can get some understanding of what it's like to be a Christian in a place, especially like Afghanistan. It reads, less than a month after the U.S. withdrew troops from Afghanistan, the Taliban have started arresting and, in some instances, executing people they perceive as their enemies. Recent photos and video suggest they're killing as many as 30 to 40 at a time. Christian missionary David Eubank, a former U.S. Army Special Forces and Ranger officer, said in a media interview. The way the United States pulled out is, quote, dishonorable and a horrible breaking of promises, and leaving thousands of people behind that we promised we take out with us, including American citizens, end quote. Eubank, who is from Free Burma Rangers and provides humanitarian services in war-torn areas, told CBS News. Now, one of the things that's quite interesting is people always like to highlight some of the foolishness and stuff that is going on within the Christian church. Any type of scandals or anything happening with some prominent Christian or Christian group, people are so quick to highlight that, but people are dead silent on people like Mr. Eubank, who go out and put his life on the line to help those in places like Afghanistan. They don't highlight Christians like that. They sweep that up under the rug. But you let a scandal pop off with some megachurch pastor or preacher, oh, it's all over the news. And this is one of the reasons why I do these segments on my channel. But let's continue to read. In some instances, the pullout has been, quote, cowardly, he continued, speaking from Tajikistan, which neighbors Afghanistan, and where many Afghans were arriving after fleeing the Taliban. So they've been running to Tajikistan. I guess that's the way you pronounce it. Tajikistan. But no, a lot of Afghans are going there, which neighbors Afghanistan, and I think that there are other countries like Pakistan and all of the other stands that border this particular country where you have a lot of Afghans that are fleeing to. Quote, the Taliban are hunting down people right now, trying to get all the names of anyone they perceive as an enemy, end quote, Eubank said, adding that the enemies include, quote, people who work with the U.S. government. Wow. People who are with other governments, people who work with non-governmental organizations they don't agree with, end quote. So this is why people have to understand you really have no idea how serious it is to be, number one, an American citizen over in Afghanistan, and number two, to be a Christian in this country, because these people are actually headhunting. They're trying to find people, especially Christians, according to this article, who they perceive as enemies, and they will kill these people if they find them. We're not talking about just taking them and putting them on trial. We're not talking about a free trial, a free and sovereign judicial system where if a person commits a crime, you got to stand before a judge, then you get an appeal and all of that stuff. No, these people will drag you onto the street and they'll execute you right there. In this case, just for being a Christian. Eubank, who is in Tajikistan to help Afghans, also said that, quote, many have been executed. I've seen recent photos of 30 to 40 people being executed, end quote. Eubank clarified that he doesn't know the scale of the killings or arrests. Quote, but I believe it's countrywide now, end quote. That's stunning. The Taliban are allowing American citizens who have identity cards to escape, he continued, adding that, quote, anyone who doesn't have papers, anyone they perceive as an enemy, they are going to arrest them and in many cases execute them. People in Afghanistan, quote, are in terror, Eubank added. According to its website, Free Burma Rangers have helped 1.5 million displaced persons to date who would have otherwise died. Again, these are not mainstream. Stories like this don't make it to mainstream news. And actually, I'm looking at this video right now. No, that's somebody else. I thought that was the guy, the video of the guy. I thought they were interviewing him, but that's someone else. Sorry. Okay. Let's continue. Eubank's mantra is that, quote, love is the antidote to evil, end quote. In an interview with the Christian Post last year, Eubank shared, quote, I am motivated by what Jesus does for me and want to share his love and encourage people to follow him. We are not to be led by comfort, fear, or pride, but go in the love God gives us. We go into areas of direct combat to save lives and share love, end quote. And this is what the gospel is about. The gospel is not about your season. It's not about the Lord saving you so you can have a good life. No, this is about being obedient to the word of God, spreading the gospel, helping others. And 1.5 of these million Afghans, or people, I should say, that they've helped, this organization has helped. I'm pretty sure that 1.5 million of these people probably were not Christians. That they may be now, or some of them may be now, but at the end of the day, this is what this organization does, and these are organizations that we as Christians need to be getting behind. And we need to be remembering, especially what he just said. We're not to be led by comfort or fear or pride. We don't do things out of fear. because we don't operate in the spirit of fear. God has not given us a spirit of fear. We don't operate in pride so we can do something and someone can say, "Ooh, look what I did. It was by my hand that a lot of these people are saved." No. He says, but we go in the love that God gives us. Following the drawing down of U.S. troops in Afghanistan, the Taliban quickly seized control of much of the country, taking the capital Kabul last month and forcing the government to flee. Not to be a conspiracy theorist, but I think that there's a lot of details behind the curtains that haven't been pulled back yet, because I don't want to say too much because I've already been in YouTube jail. I actually just got out of YouTube jail. Uh, but I'm just gonna say that I think that there's a lot of details that are hidden that we may not be aware of now, but may come out later. As into this whole Afghanistan situation that's happening. I just think that there's some fishy stuff going on. We're almost done with this article. Let me see if I can go up and read these last few paragraphs. The U.S. based persecution watchdog International Christian Concern warned last week that the Taliban is cracking down on protests and journalists. Concerns are also being raised among religious minorities of increased oppression and persecution because the Taliban have promised strict enforcement of Sharia law. Now, this is the thing when it comes to a lot of people who are for Sharia law who live here in America. I've seen interviews where they're just interviewing just regular Muslim people, maybe people who may live next door to you, just out on the street, and they've asked them, "Do you think that Sharia law should be enforced here in the United States?" And a lot of these people say yes. Now, of course, they can't say no because you can't be a Muslim and say that you're not for Sharia law because that would make you look like a hypocrite. But Sharia law, and I'm not proficient in it, but there's some things that I have read that these people who are carrying out what they consider Sharia law is the things that you're seeing in Afghanistan. And you saw this with ISIS when ISIS took over Iraq and Syria. So these people believe that they are enforcing Sharia law, and I think that if you read it, a lot of the tenets and some of the things that they are doing right now, since they have control over this region of the world, or Afghanistan in this case, um, I mean, they're just going by what they've read and what they see. Almost all Afghan Christians, estimated to be between 8,000 and 12,000, are converts from Islam and remain largely closeted and hidden from the public eye due to severe persecution. I saw, especially when ISIS was taking over like Syria and Iraq, they were executing Christians and hanging them on crosses, cutting their heads off and sticking them on stakes, throwing their heads into the streets. Public execution. Just because they're Christian. I'm going to go ahead and read this last paragraph. Quote, their status as converts makes Afghan Christians direct targets for persecution by both extremist groups and society in general. End quote, ICC reports. Quote, in Afghanistan, leaving Islam is considered extremely shameful and converts can face dire consequences if their conversion is discovered, end quote. Now, I'm not saying that every Muslim believes this or they would agree with these practices, but in these countries where you do have a government that is solely up under Islam, that is controlled by Islam, or Sharia law, I should say, is very dangerous for Christians. I've seen people recently who say that they believe in the Quran and they believe in the Bible as well. And I'm just like, there's no way that you've actually read both of these texts and you've come to a conclusion where you can put both of these books together and you can read them together and you can come to a conclusion that they're worshiping or they're both talking about the same God. See, we worship the one and only true God in heaven. That is the God of the Bible. And unfortunately, it is not the God that is laid out in the Quran. All you got to do is do your studies. I'm not going to do too much or give an elaboration on that, but I've studied somewhat of the Quran, and there's a lot of things in it that are contrary to the Bible, to the Most High God. But yet still, the Quran, according to Muslims, many Muslims, that it is a continuation of the Bible. So, like we have the Old Testament, the New Testament, the Quran will be kind of like the New Testament, to put it in layman's terms. But if that's the case, then why are Christians such a threat? We're a threat to false teaching, false God worship. Because as Christians, we are to be the light of the world. That's why Christ told us to not put our lights up under a basket. We have to let our light shine. Because we're no good. If we have a light and we cover that with a basket, no one can see it. But this is why I commend people like Mr. David Eubank, who was putting his life on the line to do what he do. Him and his organization, which has saved about 1.5 million people to date. I don't know over what span or how many years. I can't remember. But I do commend people like that. And this should be something that us as Christians, we need to open our eyes to. Is that when we're talking about persecution, this has nothing to do with social media being blocked on social media. It has nothing to do with you losing your Twitter account. This, what I just read, is real persecution. How many of us can sit in the side of our comfortable homes, pick up the Bible, read it anytime we want, go on fellowship anytime we want? We can do that on schedule every Sunday. Meet in the same place every Sunday. Smile, laugh, hug. And I'm not saying that these things are that these things are wrong. And I'm not saying that we should feel guilty because of that, because the Lord has blessed us. But what I am saying is that this could be us in the next few years. Because we're seeing where the world is hating Christians more and more day by day. And it's embracing wickedness more and more as the days go on. So are you prepared for that? Because the Bible clearly lays it out and says that one day, this is what's going to happen. In the end times, these are the things that are going to happen. This is another reason why on my channel specifically, I'm trying to move away from a lot of these vain arguments that don't make any sense. I'm not trying to argue about people's skin color and who they want to self-identify as. Like I said, I'll have some conversations here and there, but I'm not dedicating my channel to that anymore. Not when I can read articles like this and read about people who are going through some of the most unimaginable things. Just imagine being a Christian, living your life in a place that is very hostile to Christians. And you can't just pack it up and move. Some of these people, a lot of these people in these countries, they don't have cars and transportations like we do here. Some of these people live in small villages, small little towns, and everything is accessed by foot. And let's say you got a family of 4 or 5 or 4 or 5 people. And the next country is like 600 miles away. You know how far 600 miles away to travel on foot? I'm in Atlanta and I drive from here to South Florida periodically. And it takes me 10 hours to drive in a car, 600 miles. So imagine how traveling across a country that distance with a family. So it's not that easy to just flee to another country. And then you have to be, and to try to be faithful to the faith, to continue to be a light as a Christian without somebody exposing you and your family you losing your lives just because you're Christian. Think about that. Anyway, guys, I just wanted to cover this video or cover that article in this video. And I think that I've kind of been wanting to do a video like this for quite a while. And I don't know why I just never did it. But this is not the first article that I've seen that is concerning this issue. I mean, I've seen plenty of articles since this whole thing popped off. So, but yeah, if there's any other articles out there that I think that will catch my attention or something that I think that is worth addressing, I will do another video on that. But yeah, this is like I said before, we just gotta continue to pray for our brothers and sisters in Afghanistan. We really do. They're going through a really tough time, and I don't think that any of us can imagine how tough of a time that they're going through. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you think that the United States did the right thing with pulling out of Afghanistan the way that they did? And do you kind of believe that maybe the media is probably blowing it up, or this article is blowing it up way bigger than what it needs to be? And that this whole thing about Christian persecution, this is just something that's just a myth and everything is okay for Christians in Afghanistan? Or do you happen to believe that the people who are Christians in Afghanistan have some tough times ahead? And we have to continue to pray for them. And we have to continue to support some of these organizations. And I'm going to try to see if I can... here it is. Free Burma Rangers. If we should be supporting groups like that, you guys check that out. And I'm going to look them up as well. The Free Burma Rangers. And there was another one that... there was another place too. International Christian Concern. International Christian Concern. Yeah, I think that's the other organization. But anyway, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. And as always, like this video, rate it, share it, subscribe, hit that notification bell so whenever I go live or whenever I upload a new video, you guys will be the first to see it. And you guys enjoy the rest of your morning, and you have a blessed day.